In Hollywood, we love a comeback story. But what do you call it when someone comes back not once, but twice? Not from scandal or addiction, but from something far more universal, from grief, from loss, from the kind of pain that would break most people. This is the story of Keanu Reeves, a story about survival, about resilience, about what it means to keep going when everything inside you wants to give up. Keanu Charles Reeves was born in Beirut, Lebanon, in 1964. His mother, Patricia, was a costume designer with dreams bigger than the world she'd been given. His father, Samuel, was a geologist with a darker side, a man struggling with addiction, a man who would abandon his family when Keanu was just 3 years old. What followed was a childhood in constant motion. Keanu moved from Lebanon to Australia, from there to New York, and finally to Toronto. 4 different high schools, 5 different homes. Imagine being a child, never having roots, never having stability, always the new kid, always starting over. And then there was the dyslexia. School was torture. The letters jumped on the page like they were mocking him. Teachers grew frustrated with his struggles. Other kids whispered and laughed. He was labeled difficult, distracted, different. But Keanu found something he could do. Something that didn't require reading from a page, something that made the chaos in his head finally make sense. He could act. On stage, the words made sense. In character, he found himself. He found confidence. And he discovered something else too, hockey. Despite his learning challenges, Keanu was a gifted athlete, a goalie with lightning-fast reflexes and dreams of going pro. But fate had other plans. A serious knee injury ended those dreams before they truly began. The ice rink that had been his sanctuary was suddenly closed to him. At 17, facing an uncertain future, Keanu made a choice that would define his life. He dropped out of high school. No diploma, no backup plan, no safety net. Just a dream and a hunger to prove to the world and to himself that he was more than his struggles. He was going to be an actor. The late 80s belonged to a new generation of actors, and Keanu Reeves was among them. River's Edge showed his dramatic potential. Dangerous Liaisons proved he could hold his own against theater legends. And then came Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That last one made him a star, but Keanu wanted more than comedy. He wanted depth. He wanted to be taken seriously. And in 1991, he got his chance. 2 of them, actually. Point Break paired him with Patrick Swayze in an adrenaline-fueled thriller that became a cult classic. My Own Private Idaho showcased his dramatic range opposite River Phoenix, his best friend. Critics started paying attention. This wasn't just another pretty face. This was an actor with substance. Then came Speed in 1994, and suddenly Keanu Reeves wasn't just an actor anymore. He was an action star. The bus that couldn't slow down. The chemistry with Sandra Bullock. The breakneck tension. Speed made over $300 million worldwide and catapulted Keanu into the A-list stratosphere. But nothing could prepare the world for what came next. In 1999, the Wachowskis cast him in a science fiction film that would redefine cinema itself. The Matrix wasn't just a movie. It was a cultural phenomenon. It changed how action films were made. It changed how we thought about reality itself. And Keanu Reeves, the dyslexic high school dropout who'd been told he'd never amount to anything, was now Neo, the one, the savior of humanity. At the peak of his career, at the height of his fame, Keanu stood on top of the world, and that's when everything fell apart. October 31st, 1993, Halloween night. Keanu's best friend, River Phoenix, collapsed outside the Viper Room nightclub in Los Angeles. His brother Joaquin called 911, desperate, panicked. River died of an overdose at just 23 years old. They had been like brothers. They'd made My Own Private Idaho together, bearing their souls on screen. River was brilliant, talented beyond measure, destined for greatness. And suddenly, senselessly, he was gone. Keanu carried River's coffin at his funeral. He rarely spoke about it publicly. The wound was too deep. But those who knew him said he was never quite the same. A light had gone out. 6 years later, as The Matrix was conquering the world, Keanu met Jennifer Syme at a party. She was a production assistant with a bright smile and a kind heart. They fell in love. She became pregnant. Together, they prepared for parenthood, dreaming of the life ahead, choosing names, painting nurseries. On December 24th, 1999, Christmas Eve, Jennifer gave birth to their daughter, Ava Archer Syme Reeves. The grief was unspeakable. The kind of loss that has no words, no comfort, no logic. They had gone to the hospital expecting joy and came home with empty arms and shattered hearts. Keanu and Jennifer tried to stay together, to support each other through the unimaginable. They tried to heal, but sometimes love isn't enough to heal that kind of wound. Sometimes the grief is too heavy for two people to carry together. They separated weeks later. 18 months after losing their daughter, on April 2, 2001, Jennifer Syme crashed her Jeep Cherokee on Cahuenga Boulevard in Los Angeles. She was thrown from the vehicle. She died instantly. She was only 28 years old. Keanu Reeves had now lost his best friend, his child, and the woman he loved, all within 8 years. All before he turned 40. He retreated from public life. He stopped doing interviews. When he did speak, his sadness was palpable, his eyes carrying a weight that no amount of fame could lift. Years later, he would say, "Grief changes shape, but it never ends." He would also say, "I'm just grateful for the time I had with them." The 2000s were not kind to Keanu Reeves professionally either. After the Matrix sequels divided critics and disappointed at the box office, his career began to falter. Constantine underperformed. The Day the Earth Stood Still was savaged by critics. 47. Ronin lost the studio over $75 million. Box office disappointments, critical failures. The offers dried up. The callbacks stopped coming. Hollywood had moved on to younger, fresher faces. By 2013, Keanu Reeves was considered a has-been, a relic of the 90s. The action star who couldn't catch a break. He was 50 years old and it seemed like his best days were behind him. The comeback that everyone had been waiting for, it wasn't coming. But Keanu kept working, kept training, kept showing up on set, kept perfecting his craft even when no one was watching. And then, in 2014, a script landed on his desk. A revenge thriller about a retired assassin who comes out of retirement after thugs kill his puppy, the last gift from his dead wife. Studios weren't interested. The budget was tiny. The concept seemed ridiculous. It was almost sent straight to DVD, destined to be forgotten in the bargain bin at Walmart. The film was called John Wick. Nobody expected what happened next. John Wick was a masterpiece of action cinema. The fight choreography was balletic. The world building was intricate. The mythology was rich. And Keanu Reeves? He was mesmerizing. Audiences were electrified. Critics raved. This wasn't a comeback. This was a reinvention. The film made $78 million worldwide on a $20 million budget. But more importantly, it proved something. Keanu Reeves could still be a star. Not despite his age, not despite his tragedies, but because of everything he'd survived to get there. The pain in his eyes, that was real. The weariness in his movements, earned. John Wick wasn't just a character. He was a reflection of Keanu himself, a man who'd lost everything but refused to stay down. 3 sequels followed, each bigger than the last. The franchise has now grossed over $1 billion worldwide. Keanu, at nearly 60 years old, does his own stunts. He trains for months before each film. He perfects every movement, every shot, every fight. He treats every film like it might be his last chance. Because he knows how fragile success can be, how quickly it can all disappear. But here's what makes Keanu Reeves truly remarkable. Despite the fame, despite the fortune, despite the billion-dollar franchise, he remains humble, grounded, human. He rides the subway. He sits on park benches eating sandwiches. He gives away millions of his earnings to crew members, stunt teams, and cancer research charities. He signs every autograph. He talks to every fan. He never complains about the attention. When someone asks him what happens when we die, he pauses, thinks deeply, and simply says, "I know the ones who love us will miss us." He never remarried, never had more children. For years, he walked alone. But he found love again with artist Alexandra Grant, and he speaks about happiness with the wisdom of someone who's known its opposite intimately. Keanu Reeves has become more than an actor. He's become a symbol of resilience, of kindness in a cruel industry, of the possibility that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you can get back up. You can start again, from Beirut to Toronto to Hollywood, from dyslexia to superstardom, from unbearable loss to unexpected renaissance. Keanu Reeves has lived a dozen lifetimes in one, and he's done it with grace, dignity, and an unwavering commitment to his craft. They said he was washed up. They said his time had passed. They said he'd never be a star again. But Keanu Reeves did what he's always done, what he learned to do as a child, moving from city to city, from school to school, from heartbreak to heartbreak. He kept going, and that, perhaps, is the most powerful lesson of all. Success isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up, again, and again, and again. Because the only real failure is giving up.